Hey, hi, hello. It's the LaSala Show. Episode 16, December 23rd, 2020. Happy holidays. Woo! Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. What else? Happy non-holidays. For those of you who don't believe in the spirit of Christmas or otherwise. I've never been really a big Christmas fan. One time when I was a child and the Super Nintendo was a big deal, I was begging my parents year round for them to get me a Super Nintendo. And the day came, Christmas morning, opening up the presents, and you start to take assessment as a child whenever you're looking down at the Christmas tree. You're scoping out which boxes have your name on it. So I'm trying to do the measurements, the ramifications of what I think a Super Nintendo would look like in the box. And for whatever reason, the box that I singled out that made the most sense, that could be possibly a Super Nintendo, when in fact I opened it, it was the Chronicles of Narnia. The popular book series of bullshit. I threw a fit. I took the books up into my grandmother's room. I closed the door. Well, I slammed the door. And I cried while ripping the pages out of the books. So yeah, I've been scarred ever since. But good times. Good times. Now, I have a PlayStation 5 on the way. Well, again, I'm going to get it around my birthday. I'll get it around my birthday with that new stimulus check. Woo! 600 big ones, ladies and gentlemen. Is that all we're worth? Miss Nancy Pelosi and Mr. Mitch McConnell caused an outrage when they agreed to a package of blah, 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 $600 checks for every individual, plus a $300 unemployment boost, the PPP, blah, 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 millions of dollars to other countries, yada, yada, yada. But then Trump comes in, says he won't sign it. He calls for $2,000 stimulus checks to everyone, which of course is not going to happen. Just ridiculous. There's just no real good news on the horizon. I mean, the vaccine, none of my listeners, I can agree, are going to get the vaccine anytime soon, whether they want to or whether they don't want to. But let's break down the stimulus. So the $600 that we're receiving for approximately 9 months of, for me, unemployment, many others, unemployment. So 600 divided by 9 months, that is $66.66 a month. Awesome. I spend that much on aftershave. If you spend, so let's see, the 66 a month divided by 4 weeks, that's 1666 a week. 1666 a week divided by 7 days, that's 238 a day. And then if you want to do that hourly, $2.38 a day is roughly 9 cents an hour that we're being paid for basically the government's mishandling of this whole situation, which caused lots and lots and lots of people to lose their jobs. So, hey, good job. Cool stuff. Real pleased. Now, see, okay, here's the only thing. I don't want anybody to be like, "Oh, you're just trying to suck off the teat of the government." Well, you know what? This is the first time in my life that I've ever relied on the government for any sort of financial dependence. And yeah, it sucks. It's a pretty helpless feeling. Um, the only thing that gets my ass is whenever you start looking around the rest of the world and you see what other people are getting for their stimulus relief funds. So Australia, 1,900 a month, Canada, 1,400 a month, Denmark up to 3,000 a month, France up to 7,000 a month, Germany up to 7,000 a month, Ireland up to 1,700 a month, United Kingdom up to 3,000, and greatest country in the world, United States, $1,200 to last for 32 weeks. And that's not cutting it for most people, I would say. Now, luckily, with the help of my lovely fiance, I was able to save most of the money I got from the unemployment boosts, and so I'm not in dire need. But we did have to move out of New York because that shit's overpriced, especially when you can't go do anything. So I'm a little uptight about this. I'm a little uptight. But you know what? It's the holidays. And yeah. It's the holidays, so what can you say? Hey, at least I have my health, which is rapidly deteriorating. I got a new cat, which is, he likes to fart right when he gets comfortable on my stomach and goes to sleep. He passes out and then he passes gas. So, yeah, 2020, killing it. Good fucking times. All right, we'll move to some happier news about other people and their shit lives. Let's see here. Oh, Clint Eastwood? What? Clint Eastwood? Who talks about that guy anymore? Go ahead, cowboy. Make my day. Apparently, Clint Eastwood forced his ex, Sandra Locke, to have multiple abortions while he cheated on her and had 2 kids with another woman. That's like, well, it's like something. Bill Cosby. Do you remember this guy? You put the Jello in the fucking Pepsi and the Coke and the Smile and the... Bill Cosby has stopped showering in prison because there was an outbreak of COVID in his little cell there. He's decided not to shower. Instead, he's going to opt for a quick little wash up. A little quick little wash up and a little pudding and a little... Terrible impression, but I haven't even spoken of Bill Cosby enough to get an impression of him. So let's move to some even more wretched people. Trump. We already knew that Melania wasn't exactly keen on him. Shoots him those death stares quite often. Refuses to hold his hand. She makes that big, phony smile and then goes back to that dead, cold face. It's being reported that Melania sleeps in a separate room on a whole different floor than Trump in the White House. I bet she's the happiest out of all this whole crooked crew is Melania. She gets to escape. And I can't wait until she writes a tell-all book or at least hires someone to ghostwrite it for her as she waxes poetically about just how bad it was those 4 years. And even before that, I'm sure. Pope Francis, my boy, my homie. A few months back, he got into a little heat because he apparently liked a photo from an Instagram model. And, you know, he was like, oh, it was a mistake. It was an accident. I didn't even actually do it. Well, buddy, you did it again. You did it again, sir. Now, look, I learned this at a young age with the Instagram technology. You can't like every photo that you actually like. You just take a look and then move on. What are you doing liking stuff? What the hell is in it for you? Are you going to go back and look at these photos later? Ah, I remember when I liked that. No. You don't do that. The Titanic 2 sets to sail in 2022, retracing the actual route of the original ship. Titanic 2, the movie, is set to be released summer of 2023. That's not actually true, but I don't know. I wouldn't trust a fucking cruise ever again. I'm sorry. Especially one called Titanic 2, just lending itself to be an even worse tragic disaster than the first. I found this fact about foxes, okay? If a female fox dies, her mate will stay single forever. But widowed female fox look for a new mate immediately. Oh, ain't that a bitch? Can't trust these hoes out there. These fox hoes. Disgusting. Where's the loyalty? You've already made your children seemingly with this fox of yours who's, you know, going and hunt for you and taking care of the children, possibly fend off attackers. I don't know how the fox world works. Obviously, I'm just figuring it out, but come on, male foxes, you gotta drop that shit. It's almost 2021. He too. Move to some sports here. The NFL playoffs are almost here. Now, I recently said that, just wake me up when the playoffs start. All this regular season hoo-nanny means nothing to me. A little meaningless loss here and there, as long as you make the dance. Especially with 7 teams on each side this year. Well, knock on wood, but it seems as though my Green Bay Packers have, in fact, all but locked up the number 1 seed in the NFC. And the Kansas City Chiefs have done so as well in the AFC. This coming after the Pittsburgh Steelers collapsing in front of everyone's eyes. I don't know what the hell has happened to them. They started out 11-0, I believe. Now they're 11-3. Something like that. Losing to the Bengals? What the hell? And so my theory is now that Juju Smith-Schuster has come out and said he's not going to do TikTok dances on the other team's 50-yard line on their logo, maybe they can concentrate, maybe focus a little bit on not blowing the entire season. So yeah, it could be Packers and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And my thought is, even if I wasn't a Packers fan, I think the Packers versus the Chiefs is the funnest, coolest matchup. And you know State Farm, with Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers being their two main spokespersons, they would just love it. It would be the State Farm Bowl. Nothing would tickle them more. Now, of course, just because of that, it's probably not going to happen. And I said before that I actually want the Saints to get the number one seed, because I don't know. The Packers just don't play as pumped up at home, this season at least, without fans, as they do on the road. On the road, they're a little more keyed in. They're, it's us against the world. They're a little more excited about big plays. At home, it's just like, all right, we're up 21-3. It's halftime. Let's just not even show up in the second half, and we'll finish the game 24-16. A la against the Carolina Panthers last week. That's a little concerning. To me, the concern I would have with the Packers and the Chiefs, they both get a little bit bored throughout the game. Even when the Chiefs are down, as they have been in some of these games, the Chiefs have only won, I think the average win of their past 7 games is 4 points. They're not blowing people out. They're finding ways to win, but it's kind of playing with fire because, this goes back to last playoffs where I think they were down by 21 to Tennessee, or 21 to the Texans, and then they were down big to Tennessee as well. And they just came back, and they're just like, oh, we just can turn this on at any time. We'll see how that works for you. We'll see how that works out. But yes, I think boredom is killing both of these teams. And I don't know. I hope Papa Rogers, my lovely quarterback, can not only win the NFL MVP, but possibly talk some sense into this young Packer team. And hopefully they can get locked in, focused, and hold on to that number one. Let's see. Dwayne Haskins, do we even need to talk about him? The quarterback for the Washington football team. Went out to a strip club after celebrating a loss and wasn't wearing a mask. Got multiple photos snapped of him. This is his second hiccup with the team after not obeying COVID protocol. And the thing is, if you were killing it on the field, like throwing 4 touchdowns, running for, 30 yards, throwing for 400, and winning all these games, probably give you a little stern talking to, but give you a little pat on the butt on the way out of the coach's office there. But when you're barely hanging on to being an NFL quarterback, and then you go to a strip club, and while everybody else is doing what they're supposed to be doing and sitting at home, by the way, your coach just had cancer. That doesn't bother you, that maybe you don't want to bring some sickness into the clubhouse? I don't know. He got his captain tag removed from his jersey. The dude's sort of a douchebag, yes or yes? I just finished watching the NBA. My Indiana Pacers blew out the Knicks. No shock there. Although they kept it close in the first half. And the Pacers just put the defensive clamps on in the second half. And Oladipo looks okay. Sabonis, again, killing it. I think he had 30-something. But last night I watched, and the Warriors were blown out by the new-look Brooklyn Nets with KD and Kyrie. And then the Lakers, they got their rings for I was about to say last year's, but it was just a few months ago. Their little championship bubble ring. They got blown out by the Clippers. James Harden wants out of Houston. Speaking of strip clubs, He went to a strip club. He's so angry with the Houston Rockets. He wants to be traded, but nobody really wants to give up anything because he's kind of old and, there's not a high demand for him. Houston's asking too much, that kind of thing. So I guess in like a sexual protest, he goes to a strip club and possibly infected some of his teammates. He gets put on, I don't know, the COVID list, or he can't participate and he can't even come and answer questions at the facility. And then their first game, the Rockets' first game, gets postponed. Good job, Harden. You're really making your point known. You're really hammering it at home, sir. Ay, ay, ay. All right, I'm going to finish up here. This is the last episode before Christmas, and I'll be back next week with a few guests. Also, Maddie and I will be doing our other podcast, Bless the Biddies, and a 2020 year in review. So be on the lookout for that. But the last story, a 12-year-old DJ, I guess you can call him a DJ, in Manchester, England, he held a rave in the boys' bathroom at school where he was like promoting it on the down low, and he had lights and everything set up. Well, he got caught. All his equipment was confiscated. I mean, that's legendary status to do that kind of shit when you're 12. I think when I was 12, I drew on my face with like one of those marks a lot, just to make people in the class laugh. And then my teacher called my mom and I had to go home. That's all I did when I was 12. This motherfucker brought his whole DJ sound booth equipment, lights, probably a smoke machine in there. Got it confiscated. Dude's a legend. And some DJ, I don't know the guy, Charlie Sloth, he got word of the story and sent him some brand new equipment. So there you go. Win-win for everybody. All right, I'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. And until next time, wear a mask and don't die.